What's up guys, Phoenix here. This video is going to be the first video in a series of what I guess I can only call deck doctors. They're very deck doctor-ish and very, very well defined in the fact that they are in fact deck doctors. Neat. But this deck and this deck doctor is going to be on the Lightsworn Zombie Turbo deck, or Minerva Zombie Turbo, whatever you want to call it. That's basically just what I called it because it didn't have a name when it was given to me. But it was a deck that was sent in by Lucas Pinheiro. And I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that name, but I'm not a linguist, and you are from another country. Forgive me. But he sent me this deck list in, and I played it for a couple of games on my channel a couple weeks back. I think it was like a week and a half ago-ish. It was like day after Christmas or something like that. And I asked in that video if you, Lucas, as well as you collectively, the audience of my channel, would like me to do a Deck Doctor video on this, where I just talked about the deck, made some changes and tweaks, talked about the things that I would change, and just did them, and tried to make the deck function a lot more smoothly than it did before, and just make the deck more cohesive and just better overall. At least my attempt to do so. And the result of that question was a basically very resounding yes, do it. 100%. Do some deck doctors with these videos, with these decks that are sent in to you. And that was something that people showed a lot of interest in. So I'm gonna do it. Damn it. But if you see me looking back towards the webcam, more specifically like down, it's because I have the webcam on my second screen, just so it's angled towards me, and I've got some notes of things that I've noticed playing the deck off camera that I wanted to make sure I address and talk about and stuff like that. Just basically things I didn't want to forget, because I have played this deck a lot off camera. I've played this deck probably like 20 actual games more than what I actually put on my channel. And I've just been writing down things, noting what never came up, all of this nonsense, getting myself a very sound basis of knowledge to work with for this video. But anyway, enough of that rambling, let's just get into what I want to do. Now the first thing that I want to address with this deck is the fact that it lacks a win button. Now this deck has a very high output ceiling in what it can do when it's functioning, but the deck is very much do or die. You're either operating at 100% capacity and making all the plays you want to make, or you're just dead in the water. You're just flopping. And while that's good and also bad, it helps just to have a win button in certain situations where you're being forced to go first, because normally you blind second with this deck. At least I do. If you have situations where you just want to put up an unbreakable board, there's nothing that can protect those boards in this deck specifically. So I'm putting in a copy of Vanity's Emptiness, even though I absolutely hate the card. It's just a win button. It's a possible answer there to the game getting out of hand that I believe this deck needs. That it just makes things a little bit easier. And it's very easy for you to out this card. You can just get this card off the board by normal summoning your item, and all these other options. But very next thing that's going to be changed is Felice. It's actually going to be cut down to 2. This card actually does not have as much utility and versatility as it used to. Now, it is still amazing to mill off Minerva and Raiden, but those are the only things you can mill it off of and actually continue your plays. And Rhoda going to 1 hurt the playability of that card, because you could Rhoda for Goblinberg, you had so many more copies of it, and Goblinberg could summon it out of your hand, thus making you not have dead cards in hand. Now, the same issue exists for Wolf, but Wolf is just an overall better card because you can mill it off Minerva, Raiden, Solar, Recharge, Charge, all of these other options, whereas Felice, you can only mill it off Minerva or Raiden to continue your plays for that turn. Now, you also have cards like Unizombie to clear cards out of your hand, stuff like that. That's neither here nor there. But ultimately, just the card just is better off at 2 in my eyes, because it just clumps at 3, you keep drawing it, there's all these different things that cause you to have just issues with how your game is being played and how the game is trying to progress. Now, after that, the next thing that I'm just changing, this one card change, is that I'm taking out Raigeki. Raigeki almost never comes up, and it's almost never good. It's just kind of there. But I would definitely still side this card, but I would instead switch it out for another combo card in the form of the 3rd Solar Recharge. Now, as I've already said, this deck is very much do or die. It's what I would refer to as a fringe strategy. You're either 100% operating full capacity, or you're not. It's basically just another deck that I would classify as a Dark World deck. If it's playing, and it's if it's playing, it's trying to win, and it's got such a good engine that it probably is just winning whenever it's playing. But if it's not playing, you're just done. And Solar Recharge is just another card that just like, it's another engine card that digs you into more combo pieces. I'm moving these up here because I'm OCD. I'm just moving these around because I'm OCD at this point. But Solar Recharge, just having the third copy of it, just makes your deck inherently better, whereas Raigeki is just like that one card, just like, oh, I just don't want to think about how to out your board. Like, this deck doesn't have that issue. This deck has access into Black Rose, Michael, all these different things, Minerva, outs cards on field. There's so many different factors that go into what your deck can do to out cards on the board that Raigeki does not need to be in the deck. It's something that you could still just 100% definitely side deck. I'm not arguing against that. In fact, I would definitely side deck it if you're not maining it. But in the main deck, not really worth. Now, the thing that I want to direct my attention towards after that is the zombie engine. Now, this zombie engine is very strange, it's very clunky, and it's also a little bit bigger than I think it needs to be. Now, the first thing that I'm going to be doing is cutting Zombie Master, because if you think about it, this card is incredibly redundant, and I've never actually resolved this card in a situation where it was amazing. Now, the amazing situation with it is, like, you get it back off Mizuki after you milled it off Minerva, and you discard a Trick Clown out of your hand, get a zombie back, and then Trick Clown comes back. But, like, that almost never happens. If you were trying to build your deck around that interaction, you would play more Zombie Masters. But this card does have merit in being a 1-card rank 4. Well, not really 1 card, but I mean, to like 1 card you normal summon, it becomes a rank 4, i.e. Minerva. But Unizombie also just has that same interaction as long as you have Trick Clown or Damage Juggler. So I just don't see the need for Zombie Master. This card has always clumped. It's always made my hands worse, and just overall, it's just not an ideal card that you want to mill off Minerva either, because it doesn't get you anywhere. The thing that I would do is I would swap it for another Unizombie, because Unizombie can make itself 4, and it ideally does the same play that that Zombie Master was trying to do in the essence of making rank 4s. Unizombie, you can discard Damage Juggler or Trick Clown for its effect to up its level by 1, and then in that method, you can make rank 4s by either banishing Damage Juggler to get Hat Tricker and special summoning it if you have, the requirements for it, or Trick Clown just brings itself back anyway, and there's a rank 4 for you. So it basically does the exact same thing as Zombie Master does, but this also functions as an engine card, getting your Mizukis into grave, getting things moving, giving you like valuable level mods, which will come into play later with another card that I put in, just to make the Minerva engine better. But then another card I'm going to cut Mizuki down to 2. This card's not really the greatest. It's very good when you mill it off Minerva, but like it's only good once you already have the zombies in circulation. And so playing like 3 Mizuki and 3 other zombie doesn't actually just work well on paper, nor in practice, because you end up having situations where you draw multiple Mizukis or you only mill Mizukis, and sure, Mizuki can bring back other Mizukis, and that's just a level 4. Thank God that interaction exists. But other than that, like, you're not really getting much value out of that. Whereas in this situation, the only reason I'm not cutting Mizuki to 1 is because it is still very good, and it's very good for your plays. I mean, sure, you can recycle it with Omega, but this specifically, this interaction is for if you make a Minerva and you mill a Unizombie and a Mizuki, you can then banish Mizuki, summon the Unizombie, then Unizombie can immediately dump another Mizuki into grave with its effect while level modding itself up a level. That's an interaction that I really liked in testing, and that was just something that I really liked for this very slimmed down zombie engine. But the very next thing that's going to be happening here is that we are going to make Minerva better in the form of Lumina. So now Lumina, I absolutely don't like this card simply because it's a level 3. But in this deck specifically, Unizombie fixes that issue. I'll explain. You can summon Unizombie, and then you can use Unizombie to level mod any face-up monster, so you can make Lumina level 4. Now, Lumina also just has that Zombie Master-esque interaction with this deck, but it allows you easier access into your level 7 synchros, i.e. Black Rose and Michael, while also, getting cards like Wolves and Felices out of your hand. Stuff like that. Stuff like that that does end up coming up. But it's also just a Lightsworn name, so if you mill it off of Minerva, you're going to get draws. You can have it with Solar Recharge, Charge of the Light Brigade. It makes those cards inherently better. It just overall makes your deck more solid and more standalone. It gives your deck the better capability to stand on its own 2 legs, which is something that this deck was honestly just kind of lacking before. But other than that, The next cards that are going to be swapped out is I'm actually going to be cutting Honest. I'm putting these to the side deck. This format, specifically, Honest, in this deck specifically, has a lot less value than you would think it would. The only time you're ever going to put like Honest in is against Cosmo, and even then it's not even the greatest. You just use it to win fights with Farm Girl. Against Pepe, Pendulum decks, all that nonsense, you're never actually going to be using Honest because your boards that you're leaving up are going to be stuff like Omega that dodges. You have Minerva that they're going to spin with like Ignister and stuff like that. They're going to out your monsters through other means than battle, and Honest doesn't really help you there. It's just something that you side for the matchups where it's going to be crucial and usable. Other than that, it's definitely not worth it in the main deck. But next card that's going to be added is another copy of Goblinberg. This card's going to 3 for a very specific reason. For some reason, people think that since Roto went to 1, that you start playing less Goblinbergs and less Warrior targets. I don't understand that. Like, your Warrior targets in this deck are Goblinberg and Raiden. Raiden already is searchable through charge. You want this card, because this card is very unique in the sense that, yes, it is weak to Valor and Maxi, but this entire deck is weak to those. The thing with Goblinberg is that the more of it you have in your hand, it doesn't actually give you extra, it doesn't actually like take up extra normal summon slots, because Goblinberg can summon your other monster. Like, Goblinberg summon Unizombie was a huge play that I saw coming up a lot, because you can Goblinberg summon Unizombie, send a Mizuki, Monosilva before, make Minerva, mill some cards, and then Unizombie immediately gets brought back off Mizuki if you had any sort of further play moving. Like, all of these interactions actually just came up, and it was amazing, but there were only 2 Goblinbergs in the deck, 3 if you count the Rota. If you up this card to 4 total copies, you just give yourself more consistent access into Minerva as early as possible, which is how this deck is supposed to be winning its games. Basically, you just want the deck to be optimized. Now, if we weren't playing the zombie engine in here, there'd be like 2 maxis in here and then probably a triple anti-spell or something like that, but the zombie engine is in here and it heightens the deck's ceiling. And it does allow for a lot of cool, nifty plays that I am just a huge fan of. But you could honestly cut them. But for the sake of keeping this as the zombies, as the zombie Lightsworn deck that was originally sent to me, I'm going to leave these in. And this is the zombie engine that I've found myself liking. Zombie Master, it's not really the greatest. Lumina is just a better card. And if you can combine it with Unizombie, you can just get around the fact that Lumina is a level 3. You can definitely just make her level 4. All of these factors actually come up. And basically this rank 4 deck just functions very well. Like, the only other hand trap that I would consider putting in here is probably Ghost Ogre, actually. But I would definitely still keep the Honest in the side deck. That I'm 100% certain on, because this card almost never actually comes up. And if it does, it's because, like, you were losing anyway because you didn't have a Minerva on the board, or you didn't have, like, something that you had that was, like, worth spinning. That's the thing, is that if you have something on the board that's a threat that you want to protect with Honest, there are so many different outs in the game to it that bypass Honest, like Castel, Ignister, Dark Destroyer, all these things. But if you have a card on the field that they don't want to Honest, you weren't winning the game, you weren't in like a super winning position, and then they'll run into Honest. Like, it's very much a catch-22. But for the rest of the deck, like, this is what I would consider playing if I were to play this deck. This is everything that I've come to conclusions on. For the extra deck, the main changes that we're making are basically in accordance to Vanity's Emptiness and the fact that this card isn't TCG legal. I put this card back in to reset the deck list to what it originally was when he sent it to me, but when I played the deck, I had to take this and Utopia out because this card is not TCG legal. So if you're wanting to play the deck in a TCG legal environment, take these out, and the next card that would be put in to replace one of them would be Stardust Spark Dragon, for obvious interactions with Vanity's Emptiness. Basically just being able to open Spark Emptiness or Spark Minerva Emptiness is just really big. It's really huge. But then other than that, there's 1 slot left, which would go for a Dweller, because Dweller is basically the replacement answer to Utopia the Lightning, because Utopia the Lightning is just great against Cosmo, because you attack with it, becomes 5k, it outs a big ship, and then it's an Armades, so they can't activate the big ship's effect. But with the fact that this isn't TCG legal, you basically just have to do like Dweller Black Rose plays or Dweller Scarlight plays, things like that. But the very last change I would make to this is that I'd actually take out 101. You can play it if you want, but I just think, like, if you're going to have the choice of playing Castel or 101 and you only have the spot for one of them, I would definitely play Castel before I played 101. it's just overall just a better card in terms of what it does. This card outs floodgates, it outs problem spells and traps. 101 only outs problem monsters that happen to be special summoned and are in attack mode to boot. Like, this outs any face-up card, whereas 101 only outs a select few face-up cards. But anyway, that is basically the changes that I would make. I'm not going to build a side deck for this, simply because like there's all these cards that are still just down here. But the main things that would be in the side deck for this would be Honest, Raigekis, Dark Holes, MSTs, just basic standard stuff. Maybe some Iron Walls that you could like side these out against Cosmos 4, Max C's maybe. There's a lot of different options in the side deck, but it's all just very generic. But this is basically what I've decided to come to in terms of a conclusion. You have 12 Lightsworns, which makes your Minerva mills better. Your Zombie Master replacement is actually a card you can search off Charge of the Light Brigade and also fuels your engine. You still have the same number of clowns. Zombie engine is a little bit smaller, but it's a little bit more optimized in the form of Unizombie being able to dump Mizuki getting back Unizombie, the tuner status, the level mod status, all that nonsense. And then the triple Goblinberg to just let your plays flow through as amazingly as possible. Basically, you always want to have a starting play with this deck. You 100% have to. And then obviously the spells are just 100% I'm gonna get there. That's what these spells are for. But I guess that is it for this video. I'll do a video where I play with this deck in this form, and it'll go up the same day. It'll be up later today. But basically, I just want to know if you guys like this type of video, because it's very long, but it's also very mellow and very just chill, and I can just sit here and talk and just be myself, basically, and just change things based off my own knowledge and my own intuition, and like you guys get to see a little bit more into that. So if this is something you'd like to see me do more of, definitely like the video, do all that nonsense. But other than that, Lucas, if you want to test this out, feel free. And any of you, if you want to test this out, feel free. I really like the way this looks on paper, and I like the results that my testing has given me with like ideas that I've taken into account and just changed minorly, and just to try them before I tried this video. I could definitely see myself doing more of these. But anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the nonsense you usually do. Links are in the description to both my Facebook pages. If you want to send a deck for me to play and possibly do a deck doctor on, send it to my Facebook fan page in a message, and I will definitely take a look at it. Whether or not I play it is all up to my personal tastes and my time constraints, but I try to get to everything. Click on that if you have not. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps me make money, and there's no reason to lie to you guys about that. If you have an ad block enabled, do me a quick favor. Take the ad block off, refresh the video, click an ad or two, and then put the ad block back on when you're done. It takes seconds out of your day. It costs you nothing, and it helps me out more than you could ever know, and is a great way to show your support of my content and my channel and the stuff that I'm doing. And I would be greatly appreciative to you if that is something you could take the time out of your day to do. But basically, let me know what you guys think about these videos down below, and let me know if you want me to keep doing them, because I'm very open to keep doing them. But other than that, that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, guys, take care.